Well, hello. Welcome to Drawing with Fire. I am Valarie, your neighborhood pyrography artist, here to help guide you on your burning adventures. And I'm joined today with hubby.
Hubcap.
And I am going to continue working on the iris. And we're going to discuss contrast, but not in the way we normally do. Hi, Eve. Hi, Cian. Hi, Luce. Hi, Lavender. I hope everyone is well.
Lana goes art.
Hi, Lana.
Sign ink.
Mm-hmm.
Did you already say hi?
I did.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
And that's it so far.
That's it so far. I hope everything runs well today, knock on wood. I tested everything twice. Yeah. So this is, I did get the new, my new pen from Pat. This is the 2B. And it is angled. And it's it's more round than the Spear Shader, which is this one.
Hey, Andrew's here.
Hey, Andrew. So I think this will work better for the softer areas that I'm going to be working on. And these are all just first layers. I'll deepen them even more and just trying to get rid of the pencil lines. So I'm going to get started over here.
Sheila Edwards is here.
Hi, Sheila.
So is Tony Fleming.
Hi, Tony. Let's see. Do I need to zoom in a little bit?
I don't know, maybe.
Well, I kind of set up everything a little differently. I'm working at a more of a slope than I normally do. So hopefully get that off the screen so I can see. There we go. So right here, I'm going to pick up and start building the darks even more. And I did notice, because this one I used an electric sander on, it has really caused an issue with the veneer. So if you get these kinds of the Studio Blick cradle boards, I highly recommend, at least for the smaller ones like this, to hand sand it. I noticed last night down at the bottom, it looked like the veneer was actually moving a little bit when it shouldn't be. And I think the electric sander knocked it loose. Yeah, I'm not too happy about that, but there is something I am really happy about. I have a company called Trickle who's sending me a couple of small birch cradle boards and panels to test that are solid birch. So they look like this with the side and everything, but the side is basswood or poplar depending on the size you get, and the top is not a veneer like this. It is a solid piece of wood, and I cannot wait to try it.
Christine, oh my goodness, I missed the last name, just subscribed.
Hi Christina, welcome.
Also Odo Connell is here, as well as Rain SG, and Luce Hermes says we're all here for the puns.
You're all here for the puns?
Well, I thought that they were just here to have a pun time.
Well, I realized after talking to Pat last week, you know how I kept calling this pen the 9MP. It's actually not 9MS. I completely renamed the pen. I don't know where I got S, but it's stuck in my head. So if I confuse you on that, yeah, my bad. Sorry. So I'm darkening this up. Right now I'm at 2. And this basswood's got a lot of grain going on. So it's not burning quite as well as I'd like. So I'm really happy to try these new boards if they also have painting boards. I'm getting the raw because, well, it has to be raw. But you can also do oil and acrylic and other mediums on these boards. So I'm really excited to try it out. Because if I can do other mediums on the board without having to worry about the veneer loosening up, that opens more doors.
So Grace says,
hi, Grace.
Jason, just leave it alone. I would. Lisa Schwank says, artful.
Hi, Lisa.
Oh, artful inspiration. Okay, I'm sorry. That was hi, Valarie and all. Who else? Lena goes on rain. Okay, just catching up.
Okay, so these petals have these really beautiful ripples in them. And if I outline them or burn them too dark, they're going to look more stiff. And I really want the flow that's in the photo, which I don't know how well you can see that. Let's move this over just a little bit. There we go. Kind of small.
Yeah.
Well,
You have a question.
Yes.
Lavender Willow asks, what advice would you give to a beginner pyrographer?
First of all, prepare to love it and get sucked in. But the biggest advice is patience. We always, you get excited. You're like, woohoo, it's on the board. And you start burning. And you're like, oh, this is taking forever. I want to hurry up. I want to get to point B. And you start speeding up, trying to get to point B. And in doing so, your burn doesn't come out exactly the way you wanted it in the first place. So instead of going for quantity and speeding up to get to what you think would be the good part, just take your time, relax. It can be quite meditative to burn. I put a book on Audible and just burn. I think that's the biggest. Pyrography is definitely the mistress of patience. And boy, does she teach it.
So Lisa Swank from Artful Inspiration says, question.
Yes.
Do you ever burn on leather?
I have a project that I started that I haven't finished, but I will be getting back to it. Your leather sketchbook that I made.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I will be burning on leather. I have not done it as of yet. I made Jason a sketchbook. I just have to figure out what I want on the cover. So right now, because I'm drawing down the lines and I'm using more of the bottom of the tip, it's not burning as dark, which is fine. I'm using that to my advantage. Let's see here, and I'll use the tip a little bit more. There you go, Grace.
I was just thinking that.
Just the tip.
Oh, God. Where's her partner in crime? I haven't seen her yet.
I don't know where Heather's at.
Okay, you have actually another question. And also Katrina Balgam says,
hi, Katrina.
hello, everyone. Another question from Lavender Willow. Have you ever used watercolors on wood?
I have. The orchids didn't come out the way I wanted it to, but yes. The orchids, I have a playlist for this whole flower series that I'm doing. I put watercolor on the wood. Now, if I don't use watercolor ground, when you put watercolor on the wood, it acts as a stain. So you'll get two different effects depending on how you prepare the wood. Now, because I'm having issues with this veneer, I'm not going to do this one with watercolor. I decided that I'd like to tone this one with colored pencil, and I think I'm going to try the Derwent Pro Color on it to see how well those work on wood, since they are soft as well. So it'll come out similar to photo tinting versus watercolors. And then the last piece, as long as that, I think that board's safer, I'll do the last one with watercolor. So yep, I do have them. And I do think if you're using a solid piece of wood and you're wanting to use watercolor for stain, I think that's actually a pretty good option, because a lot of watercolors are light fast, whereas regular stain is not. So I think that could be a really good option. But I need to test it. So I switched over to the sphere shader, and I'm still on 2, but I need to get a little sharper lines and get closer. So that's why I switched.
Grace reacted to your comment earlier. Like, oh my god, wow, why this?
Why not? Why not?
Zoe Hitchhikes is in chat.
Hi, Zoe. Now, I mentioned contrast, and in the past I've talked about contrast in your burning, your tones and your darks and lights. But last week, hubby here was watching a YouTube video, which do not know what it was called. I'll have to go look through your history to find it. But the gentleman was talking.
Don't look at my history.
Don't look at your history?
No, then you'll see all the 80s music.
Oh, I already know about that.
Oh, okay.
I already know about that. And he was talking about contrast, but contrast not in just tonal values, but in focal points. So one of the reasons I picked this photo is because I have a sharp image here in the middle, and then as it goes out, it becomes a little more blurry. And in doing that, the contrast between the sharpness and the fuzziness creates its own contrast and makes this area stand out more, and it's supported by the softer areas. So when you're trying to figure out the composition of how you want a piece to look, like I do that in Photoshop, if you try, because maybe what you want to burn feels a little busy, you know, you want this main subject, but you also want this background, try blurring out the areas that you don't want as prominent in the piece. And in doing that, your main subject is going to come forward more and stand out without you even trying. And when I heard the guy talking about it, and he said more, but I fell asleep because, well, I was getting ready to take my old lady nap anyway. But I did listen to that part, and it was like a aha light went off. I was like, oh, I got to share that.
So, do you want to know who that is?
Yes, please.
It's a series called 10 Minutes to Better Painting by, and the YouTuber is Marco Bucci.
Okay, I'll have to, after the live, I'll put that down in the description.
Okay. It's interesting stuff. It's applicable for more than just painting.
Yeah.
It's about composition and things. I think the question's already been asked in chat, but Zoe was asking if you burned watercolor paper as well, which you have.
Oh, yeah. And I've got videos for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I think I have a playlist for the watercolor paper burnings. Oops, sorry. I'm just trying to go back and forth, trying to darken different areas. I did use a ball tip, and the ball tip's good for darker areas. But it leaves a pattern in lighter areas, so I'm trying to blend that out a bit. So, back to the contrast. it really made me think, and that's why I was drawn to this photo in the first place. This is a Pixabay photo, which I forgot to link down below. Sorry. I'll put that in later. And that was one of the things I was drawn to, is the fact that, you know, the photographer had taken the time to focus in on what they wanted to have as the main focal point, and then the softness around it. And in doing that, I kind of don't need a background if I don't want one. Because this area is going to pop out. And the more realistic and sharper I do this and go out softer and softer, it's really going to, I think it's going to be this area right here. But soften out for the petals. Excuse me. Sorry about that. And that way, it's got its support, but your eye is drawn to right here on this one. So it'd be like if you were doing a face, you wanting the eyes to be the focus. So it'd be the same concept. And again, it's not just for burning. That's for any art you want to do. I think a lot of the painting and drawing videos definitely cross over and are helpful in your journey. So, and I am trying to go with the direction of the petal. There are veins, and if I go in a different direction of the vein, meaning instead of going down this way, if I inadvertently make my lines go more this way, it's going to change how the petal curves and curls, and it's not going to feel right. So I have to make sure I pay attention to the different landmarks within the flower itself and follow those. The same with, you know, burning hair and fur. If you're burning a short-haired dog, but yet you're poking up the hairs, you're going to give him a spike. And then it'll feel different.
That's true.
So I'll get that in here. Again, this is just my first layers, just trying to get rid of the pencil lines and get my landmarks down. Some areas, like this area right here, is darker.
So when you say get your landmarks down, maybe talk about that.
Talk about that?
From pyrography point of view. I'm laughing because of Grace. So you're talking about burning a short hair.
Oh,
Grace is like that poor dog.
I know. So some of the landmarks within the flower are the stamen that sticks out here, and so how the petal curves around it. This focus keeps everything in line in this area. The stem itself has some main lines in it, so as long as I get those main lines in, I can fill in the rest, but still have it feel more realistic. I don't have every line transferred from the flower. To do so would make it way too busy and throw me off. And things are going to move anyway, because they do. So there's no reason to stress yourself out trying to get every single line in. I think of this as a coloring book. The line work, it's kind of like a coloring book. And however I color it or shade it and how I put things into it is what makes the actual piece. The lines are just guides. Here, I'm still on. There we go.
Looks like it.
Yeah, I'm moving more towards the top, so I didn't want to go off.
Lucy Herman.
It's the first name.
Yeah, I'm mispronouncing it. Sorry, Lucy. So says maybe that's a good question. A good starting point. What's a good starting point?
A good starting point for pyrography in general?
Well, Is it, maybe clarify, is it a starting point for pyrography, or is it like starting pyrography composition, like starting a piece?
Yeah. Well, yes, if you're, I'll go with if you're new, and we can go from there. If you're new and you've never done pyrography, I think a leaf, especially a leaf from the fall that is more textured, is the best practice to start with, because with that leaf you're getting all kinds of textures. You're getting practice on shading and shadows and not outlining if you choose not to. Excuse me. Allergies. And doing the leaf, you're practicing multiple things, and then getting those down. When you go on to the next piece, you'll remember, okay, this part of the leaf was forward, so I shaded more back here, and I did a smooth shading because I don't name any of my strokes. I have no idea what I would call them. Crazy circles. There we go. This is a crazy circle. But no, I don't do that. But I think organic objects are extremely helpful and interesting to start burning. And then you can expand.
And I believe that was in context correctly.
Was it? Okay.
Chat clarified. And apparently it's not Lucy, it's loose.
Loose?
Yep.
Okay. I look up and they're talking hamsters.
Uh-oh. So Lavenderilla's got to go.
Hi, Sam. Thank you for stopping by.
Your crazy circles. Luce says that's a technical term.
Very technical. Very technical.
Scott Ross says stunning work.
Hi, Scott. Thank you. Let's see here. Right now, I'm just trying to find where all my shadows are at, because I know this area, though it has texture, it's really bright. This area is lighter, or darker, sorry. I'm going to get myself confused. Let's see here. I just blew on the tip just to cool it down for a second, so when I touch down, I don't get the dreaded blob. And the board that you see off to my right that my hand's actually on is my test board to test my heat on. So not only is it testing so I can see how hot it is, it also draws some of the heat for a second. So it's the same concept as burning, or blowing. Duh. Blowing. So this is actually darker at the top because the petal is turning. And so I want to capture that turn. If I go high on this tip, it's going to be darker. You need to be a little careful. Don't want it too dark.
You got a question from Lana. Lana is thinking about decorating a cutting board for someone who loves to cook. What should she be aware of?
It depends on the wood. Bamboo, from what I understand, I have not done it. Bamboo is extremely hard to burn. It doesn't burn evenly. If you expect them to use the board as a cutting board, I haven't made them myself. You do have to worry about what protective coating you put on it and ensure that it's food safe. But I don't know what that is. Think.
Well, I wouldn't put your design on the main area. I'd put it like on the handle or something, if it has a handle.
Well, there's people who burn right in the center.
Really? Seems like that over time your design would get exposed to so much abuse. You know, the cutting and then washing and.
Well, that's why I was asking if it was decorative. I don't know if the ones that I've seen people do, if those are meant for decorative or actual use. Burning is an option, but I have to wonder, is it worth putting in all that work burning it in an area that's going to be, like you said, abused with water, knives, stuff?
I mean, if it's a cook, I mean, this is what I would say personally. If it's a cook person, then, you know, maybe burn some, you know, design on a cutting board shaped thing that I can hang in their kitchen or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe on the side of their knife block if it's not coated with something that you can't burn on.
Yeah, because I've also been seeing people burning on rolling pins.
Oh. On the face of the pin?
Yep.
Huh.
And like I said, I'm not sure if they're meant for decorative purposes. And I know bamboo is a popular cutting board surface.
Well, Andrew says it's terrible to burn on.
Yeah, and that's what I've heard from other people. So I guess it really depends on what your goal is and what you think your friend will use it for.
Yeah. And Liquid Colors here.
Hey, Denise. I hope your live went well. I'll have to catch it later.
So, Lana says knife block idea is a good idea. But if you do that, make sure, like Valarie can tell you more, but like if it's coated with something, like if it's sealed already, then that could be a problem. You might have to sand it down. Yeah,
strip it and sand it. And if you can find a raw wood holder, then you should be just fine.
Yeah.
See here, this is light, this is dark. You see, these are just the main lines that I have, and I'm looking for the darks, because that's what I'm trying to put in first. This is darker than this because the leaf is curled, or petal.
Luce is asking, Luce says that they usually carve utensils from birch. Would that hold pyrography work well? Because you usually just seal it with oil. With like what? With like cooking oil? I'm trying to think what my dad uses. Because you couldn't use...
Well, birch itself burns very well. See here. Look, no eyes.
What?
I'm burning and looking up. Oh. Not smart, but I'm doing it. Yeah, your pyrography should be fine. I can't think of anything.
Okay, Luce says that they're coated with grapeseed oil. That should be fine after the burn. After the burn, yeah. Everything goes after the burn. Sand first, burn, and then you can add whatever it is you want to add to that burning after the fact. That's sticking up there. That actually has... I know, I'm talking to myself. I'm trying to go along with my lines. I actually have my pattern next to me, so I know what's what. Here, I'll darken that later. You know, I missed a question a while back. I just realized this because let me see if I can find it. Aha. Aha. So Zoe is asking, do you place your sketch taking into account the wood patterns? I do. That's what I thought. Not always. Sometimes I forget to look at the wood grain and I just throw it down. But in general, I try to, because I'm hopeful that I can use the grain to my advantage. With this one, I did not. MP Langer Art says hello.
Hey, Patricia. Let's see here. Let's do some erasing.
You told me your name, but I didn't remember. Sorry, Patricia. I didn't remember your name.
Let's see here. See, these are smaller areas, and if I go in with my good eraser, take out the other lines. So this is just the Mono Zero rectangle. And down in the description I have all the links for both Amazon and the stuff that I purchased from Blick. And I also now have UK affiliate links, and so those are down. You'll see you'll see something that says Drawing with Fire Kit, and that's my kit page where I can put everything in one place for you. And you can just go through and find what you're looking for.
Podge is here.
Hey, Podge. Been a little while. Oh, we're missing Philip too.
And so is Kathleen Lengyel Wildlife Art. Sorry, I messed
Kathleen.
up your last name. I know I did.
Just skip the last names, love. Just skip them.
But what if we have multiple Kathleens? Then who will know who's being greeted?
Well, then I can say Kathleen L.
You're ruining my life.
I know. I do that. That's my job.
Well, Kathleen L says, hi, excited, finally made it to your live stream.
Well, I'm glad to have you.
And Barbara Loveless is here too.
Hey, Barbara.
Says, hello, Valarie, I finally caught a live stream. Hope you're well.
I am, though I just noticed my voice sounds a little froggy. Don't know why.
Little froggy.
Watch the copyright.
Grace says, Kit, that was not what I heard at first.
Yes, because you have... Yes. We all know what you have.
Bernadette heard that.
Uh-oh. Now don't scare Barbara away. She doesn't know what Bernadette... Some of these people don't know who Bernadette is.
Bernadette is our lovely intern.
Well, she needs to start working. Alright. So yes, this is the center. So I'm just trying to get... There's smaller shapes. So I'm just trying to pay attention to what's what. Because I think this is actually, it almost looks like a little leaf bending, or petal bending, almost completely horizontal. And I noticed when I burned this dark last night, I'm probably going to have to scratch out because I didn't leave for the fuzzies, whatever they're called. I don't know.
Fuzzies?
Fuzzies. Works for me. Let's see here.
Grace, nobody's gonna be scared of Bernadette.
Everybody loves Bernadette.
Yeah. That's what Bernadette says.
Alright, so we got a line over here.
Okay, Bernadette's already been in the chat twice.
Oh, has she?
But Grace hasn't noticed her.
Oh.
Well, on stream, not chat.
So this leaf right here, and see, this is one of the reasons why I don't do patterns for anybody else, because if you look at it, you're like, what the hell is that? But I look at it, I'm like, oh, that's that.
Kind of like my handwriting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I can read your handwriting.
I sometimes can't read my own handwriting. Maybe that's a problem.
That's a little bit of a problem.
Grace says she's an unreliable narrator. That's very diplomatic, Grace.
So yeah, looking at my pattern, this one I used the photograph. I didn't draw a pattern, but in general, looking at my patterns, nobody else would understand them, and they shouldn't, because your pattern is yours. It should only make sense to you.
Yeah. I never thought about a pattern being that way, being personal.
I mean, if you want to buy people's patterns, it's, definitely a choice, and I'm not saying anything bad about that. I'm just saying why I don't create a pattern. And to sell. And if I sell you a pattern, you're burning my lines. You're doing what I think you should do. And not learning as quickly as you could in doing your own.
Wait, so the coloring books that we had as kids?
Yep. Oh. How many things did you draw after coloring in a coloring book that was similar to the coloring book? And didn't even think about it.
Whoa.
I mean, that just hit me too.
That's heavy.
Isn't it though?
Those coloring books have been programming us.
But yeah, think about it. How much of, when you were a kid, how much of your art was similar to what you'd spent a long time coloring? Because you thought that's how something was supposed to be drawn.
But if you gave your child a coloring book and it was like, here's your coloring book, and it was just blank, they'd be angry that it wasn't like all the other kids. Like, there's no pictures in here. What am I supposed to do with this?
Give me pictures. No, I'm not putting down any of that. I'm just saying why I don't sell my patterns. I've had it asked. I've been asked to do it, and I don't want that stress. And I don't know. I think when you first start off, if you don't feel comfortable drawing and aren't sure how to do this, that, or the other, maybe doing a couple of patterns that are already in books is a good option for practice. But I know there's a lot of people who stick with it, and I think they would find themselves grow more. I shouldn't have turned the board.
Grace says, are you trying to tell us that there are no original ideas and our concepts are just recycled? Heavy. But no. If you take an art critique class, art criticism class in college or university if you're overseas, that's like one of the things that they talk about, that there are new ideas. I don't believe in that personally.
I don't either.
Because there's always variations of an idea. And yeah, you can be jaded and say that there's no new ideas, but there's always a little bit different way of presenting something.
And every time you do something, even if you copy somebody else, it's still different because it's you.
Mm-hmm. So I guess that depends on whether you're a pessimist or an optimist.
Yeah. I'm definitely not putting down coloring books. Not at all. I think they have so many good, whether it's for children or adults, they definitely have their place. I'm just saying that if you spend a lot of time coloring a G.I. Joe or Barbie coloring book as a kid and then went to draw, some of your lines may have seemed very similar because you had already been practicing that.
Interesting thought. Huh. So, yeah, speaking of Barbie, did you see that Cyan Ink actually had a Barbie coloring book? So funny you mentioned that.
I never did.
I don't remember what mine were.
I only had a couple. Never a Barbie. I only had one real Barbie in the first place. So.
That's true, Grace. Yep, I agree.
So if you're new to burning, I think the patterns can be helpful just to help you get the hang of things. But I definitely don't think there's a place you should stay very long.
Well,
if you want to grow. Yeah,
and then also if you're doing patterns all the time, then, and especially if they're popular patterns, because a lot of people do sell patterns, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm. But, no, I'm not putting any of it down.
But but people will recognize those patterns
too. I have.
So, I think it's better to do original work, and if you're able to, and that way people will.
Even if you just take a photo and, like for this particular one, I printed it out, put it to the size that I wanted for the wood, and I don't know how well you'll be able to see it, but there's blue colored pencil lines, and that's just me putting the lines down.
Yeah.
I didn't put every bit of detail down, but I did know I needed to know where the places had shadow in general, where things were more out of focus versus the contrast we were talking about with the sharpness inside. But if you see, there's not a whole lot of lines, so even if you can't draw, if you can move your finger to go click to take a photo, you can do it. And you don't... Well, I guess I'm not using that.
Threw it on the ground.
I did not. It was flying from my hand.
And I threw it on the ground.
Oh, sorry, the clip went flying. It was one of these.
On the ground.
No, I didn't do it on purpose. So you can do it. It isn't as hard as it looks. And I know, like, this burning may look complicated. The lines may look complicated. But if you just piece everything out into shapes and take your time, it's not as hard as you really think it is. I think anybody can burn. Just like anybody can draw. It just takes practice. It takes patience.
So, I just realized we're not really talking about contrast too much.
That's why I was trying to bring it around. I was trying to bring it back around.
Bring it around.
Well, that was the main thing about contrast that I wanted to discuss. Because I didn't hear the rest of the guy because I fell asleep. Oh. But I really appreciated the aha moment of him explaining that contrast is not just about value and tone, but sharpness and softness. And focusing on when you're laying a piece out, which I don't have.
What?
I was trying to think if I had a drawing or anything that I could show. And I don't. But there are things I will pay attention more to this now. I haven't always paid attention to that. In fact, I don't know that I've ever really paid attention to it. But now that I have, I'm going to be doing that with my art more. I think a lot of times we do it, we just don't realize it. But now I'm going to pay more attention to it. To how I lay my composition down.
So, I don't know whether Grace wrote this comment as a reaction to something we said, or whether Grace is just all of a sudden blurting out random things.
Could be a mixture of both.
She said, my dad's not a cell phone. I don't know what that means, Grace. I'm a little concerned.
Don't know.
Zoe has a question. Mm-hmm. Do you practice sketching as well to get the values right?
I am working harder to use a sketchbook. I've done it a couple of times now, but in general, I tend to be too bit of a perfectionist and impatient on laying that all down. I will take everything into Photoshop and arrange it the way that I want it that way, so that I can just have it all collaged together if that's what I'm doing, and print it out or draw my lines then and go. I'm trying to get better about that. I am finding that using a sketchbook is quite helpful, which is why I have like 4 or 5 of them in my art bag now.
Okay, I know what that is now. You know what? I forgot that part of the song. Now I feel okay.
I don't know what either one.
Well, you're gonna have to watch it.
Okay.
I think I was more. You know what? I forgot about that part of the song. I think I was just more focused on Grace being just sitting there quietly and then screaming out, "My dad's not a cell phone!" But yeah, that's from the song.
If you're watching this on replay, I'm just as confused as you are.
I'll educate Val later. Yeah, I don't need your handouts.
I don't know. I don't know.
I know.
Well, I can't, you know what? I can show something in regards to what Zoe asked.
What did you want to show?
Well, my sketchbook is in my bag in the hallway.
I will go fetch it, my liege.
Yes, please. Okay. Chop, chop. You don't like when I say that.
That's what I'm here for.
That's why I say
Your abuse.
Oh, I don't abuse you.
I know.
I don't.
All right. I'll be right back.
And take care. There, I had an idea about a raven and some orchids, and in my head, it was a pretty good idea. And then, now mind you, this is just a sketchbook. It's not a finished piece. Oh, you left her up. I didn't realize she was up.
Oops.
What are you doing?
Right on the ground.
I know you did. Like, literally. I'm so confused on what's going on.
I don't know where your sketchbook is.
Well, I gotta remember which sketchbook I used.
Valerie's sketching bag, which looks like a survival kit combined with a parachute.
Let's see.
Is it in that one?
No, I think it's in the blue one. What I want.
Blue one?
Mm-hmm.
That blue?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, I've got a working sketchbook. I got a loose sketchbook.
But not like loose in chat.
No, not that kind of loose.
Okay.
Alright, so in my head, I had this idea about ravens and orchids together. And again, this is just a sketch. But in using my sketchbook, I'm trying to zoom out. I was able to find out that wasn't the best idea. It didn't work out the way I wanted it on the layout and composition, so I didn't have to worry about burning it.
It could look sketchy.
What do you mean it could look sketchy?
The sketchbook looks sketchy.
So when I use the sketchbook, this is basically what I'm trying to do. I don't necessarily work out the tonal values, but I am trying to work out the layout and what's going to be in it. So
composition.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I don't think there's anything else in this one in regards to work.
Well, you're getting compliments.
Thank you. This is what we do every Sunday.
Every Sunday. Yep.
And like,
Sunday.
And like I was trying to work out an otter. And so I decided I didn't like that pose. I'm not going to say what it's for, but I realized in just sketching and playing with watercolor that didn't want it that way.
I think this also
can't show the next one though.
I think this also answers the question about whether or not you sketch to work out your values and composition.
More so composition than anything else is the main thing that I use. There's another sketchbook in there, I think, but it's fine.
Another one?
No. I was just showing how I use it. And I'm trying to get better about it. I only use the sketchbooks on Sundays.
Sunday, live.
Some people know what the Sunday thing is, but I don't think others do.
Oh.
There we go. Zone this back in.
When I was a kid, or when we were kids, I suppose, anytime there's a big event like a monster truck rally or a band coming, that's kind of what the announcer would sound like.
Yep. I think they all did it.
I don't know if they do it in Canada.
I think I need to go a little darker on these shadows.
But based on the show, I would say probably, yeah.
You're stuck on that. We have moved on.
Have we?
We've moved on.
Come back.
No.
I can't catch up.
Run. You gotta catch up. Alright. Let's see. What lines can I get rid of? In getting rid of the lines, I can see better how the burn is. and the tone of the burn, because the graphite does darken it.
Grace is guessing what the outer's for.
You can guess.
You can
but
say
I'm not going to answer.
She can say no more. Lana wants to know if there's going to be a sketchbook tour.
Oh gosh. I don't tend to do those on my channel.
Maybe you should.
Why? I mean, I focus on pyrography with other stuff. I don't know that... Alright, if you're watching this on the replay, if you want to see a sketchbook tour, let me know down in the comments.
Actually, they're already starting to ramp up.
I don't tend to show them, but if it'll help anybody, I will show them. But see, even in that, I'm too much of a perfectionist, and it causes me issue. I'm trying to get better about it. I'm trying to be more loose in the sketchbook so that I don't feel so uptight when I work on my burnings. Plus, I'm trying to figure out how I want to have different elements interact. I do try to do, the ones that I think I'm going to do in burning, I do try to use brown ink so that I can just see, have an idea of how something would look in sepia for the burn. So that's why there was brown ink on the raven, which I will be doing a raven. And I will be using watercolors with the raven. I just got to get through the flower series. Where am I?
In Flagstaff. You're in your studio.
Yeah, I need a little...
You're live streaming.
Is that where I'm at? Let's see here. I'm kind of bouncing around. Oops, too hot, too hot. Oh well. I'll just do that. That was too hot, but that's okay. I think I can live with it. Alright, so... a lot of this, oop, too hot. I should have touched down on my board. I do want this darker, but because I'm not touching down and checking first, and oops, I went the wrong way with this shadow. Yeah, I should have gone this way. How am I going to fix it? Well, it's actually not too far off if I pull it this way. It happens. So I'm going to pull it down. And then I think I'm going to have to do a little sanding here to bring down the lighter area. Alright. Let's see if I can fix this.
I'm sure you can. I have faith.
We shall find out.
In your abilities.
So I have to go with the grain, because if I don't, it won't look right when I burn over the area or when I seal it. You'll see scratch marks. Let's see if I can fix this. So this comes more down like this.
Sheila thinks you should do a black dog after the raven.
He's still letting... Oh, he's working on basset hounds right now, that's why. Let's see here. Oh, gotta go with the grain. Even though I'm changing angles, gotta go with the grain.
Oh, what are you using right now?
This is just the sanding twig. It's small enough that I can get into this small area. And this is the fine grit. I don't have any of the medium grits. I might as well take the pencil line along here.
So, with contrast, like I know, like if you look at old photographs, and then especially ones that are kind of washed out, they could be significant, but there's not enough contrast to really make them impactful. Even if they're something really interesting, they can be really dull. I think that contrast is sometimes what makes the composition, really draws your eye.
It does. And I definitely suggest playing with your drawings or your line work and figure out what's around your main subject that you can blur out. Now, it doesn't have to be like full on abstract blur, can't tell what it is. It just needs to be not as sharp as the area that you want the viewer's focus to be.
So we're talking about focus then too. About okay.
Yeah, and in any of the art programs, you should be able to pick an area and kind of blur it out a little bit.
Oh. Are you talking about like for when you're making your pattern or something?
Yep, when you're making your pattern. But also for your reference photo. Because if you don't put the blur in your reference photo, you'll forget about it. And using a reference photo as you're burning helps you to understand what all is going on. Now, if you're not going for realism, then you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. For realism, and I need to turn. The reason I keep turning if you're new, the reason I keep turning the board is it's easier for me to turn the board than it is for me to stand physically on my head and try to get into an area. And this also keeps the heel of my tip off of other areas because I'm turning. And so I'm not inadvertently burning an area I didn't want burned. So if I would have stayed with my tip facing, this way, because of the board, I had a chance of burning over into the background where I don't want it. Let's see here. There we go. That's a good. Let's see. Where was I? Okay, I'm on that leaf. It probably would be better not to skip around as much when you're laying down the first areas.
No, because then you mess up whatever it is that you're laying on. Like the sheets get all messed up. If you're on the couch, the cushions go everywhere. Wait, what?
Come back.
What are we talking about?
Come back to me. I'm talking about the first layers of your burn. Let's see here. See, that was too dark for a touchdown, but if I do it in multiple areas along the edge, then it matches. And I don't have to worry about it. I mess up all the time. Especially after what's funny is after a live, I'll sit down and look at what I just burned and I'm like, what did I do? This makes no sense because I'm talking and thinking and burning. I screw up all the time. All the time. And then I have to play the game of how can I fix this, and nobody knows I messed up.
Well,
unless I tell you.
I was going to say, nobody would know unless you told them. So, there you go.
But I want to tell them so they can learn too.
That's very kind of you. I'm sorry, Barbara, but dad jokes are one of the things that I have to do.
Oh, that's just part of him.
Yeah.
You should hear when he does it with
I'm
the
so
girls.
proud of my daughters that
they love them.
they came up with their own dad jokes, and some of them are really good. I'm so proud.
It became a competition on who can have the better dad joke.
I know, but Sarah has come up with a few really good ones.
Oh, I'm sure she has. She's funny like that. Alright, so this is a shadow.
Oh my god, Angel's here.
Hey, Angel!
Oh, great.
I hope she's doing. Oh, that was quite the how do you do.
I'm sorry. Sorry, Angel. I was just thinking you and Grace, and I was mentally thinking whether Heather was here yet or not. Because, you know, that's like the trifecta right there.
So that one a little dark, but I'm going to work it out because the petal is curved, so I'll blend it out a little bit more because we want to capture all these curves. That's what makes the iris so flowy.
Flowy.
Flowy. And this goes down to match the petal. Now this shadow is actually not even like all the same tonal value because there's ripples going this way within the petal, up and down, up and down, up and down.
Angel found something for me. Wish I could see it. Put your hand down. All right. That's rude, but I earned that. So sorry.
I don't know what's going on here.
It's okay. It's okay. Just keep burning.
I'm a mushroom. So I really wanted to. I think I'm going to try for the rest of the live to focus on one area. I think this will be the area.
Okay.
So that I can get closer to a finished petal. So we can see if it's flowy or not.
Angel said 2 hands. Okay.
2 hands. Oh boy. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Alright, so I'm at almost 2.5. And because I've got so many lines going on, I think I'm actually going to flip one of my reference photos.
We'll flip it.
Yeah, I'm going to flip it.
Like, just turn it gently.
No, I want to throw it. Alright, sorry about that. Maybe. Alright, I'm going to go over here.
Maybe you're sorry?
Maybe, no. Yeah, something. I don't know. My brain's doing too many things at once. Alright, there. Got it. Sorry. Whew. I've got my color reference photo upside down just so I can glance over and make sure I'm in the right spots. So let's get this petal in. Now this area is a little lighter because there's light showing through the petal on the inside that we don't see, but in doing that it shows through the petal a little bit. So we want to make sure we have that, but it's not as bright as if the sunlight was hitting it directly. So I am using more of the flatness of the pen for it to be a lighter burn, a little smoother. I do have some graphite there I need to get rid of. So going with the shape of the petal, with the direction that the veins move. What are you playing with?
I'm not playing. I need this.
So you may not be able to tell, but there is a light burn there. I will darken it when I darken these areas, but just to start, that's fine. Let's see. I really want to get rid of as much pencil line as possible. If you're hearing a strange noise other than sanding, love, you're like right next to the mic.
I had an itch.
I know you had an itch.
The T-square was the only thing that could reach.
I guess it makes a good back scratcher.
Yeah.
Alright, that's good. Even if all the pencil line doesn't come off, as long as it's light, I can cover it.
Oh.
So, in basswood, I guess I forgot about it because it's been a while since I've been working with a lot of basswood. But regardless of the graphite paper that I use, it just doesn't give up the graphite lines as easy as birch does. So if you're having frustrations because you can't get graphite off of your board, and hopefully you're not using carbon paper, then try birch. It does come off easier. This area is darker.
Rain is asking, what is that little tool?
Little tool. The only little tool I can think of is this.
Yeah, I think so.
It's a sanding stick. Basically, it's because you can tell by the pattern right there. It is a cut up emery board or leftover cutoffs that the company sells in packages of 100. So it's really just an emery. So if you don't want to buy the whole thing, I guess you could just cut up an emery board.
You know, I didn't think to mention this last time, but you can get those same sanding sticks at automotive paint stores, and yeah, and they won't be in packs of 100 though. You can buy them as singles.
Don't guess I've ever seen. I wonder if those should be finer.
Rain says eraser. Were you using an eraser a little bit ago?
Oh, I've got the Vanish eraser. I have I'm on a sand eraser. And
were you using that? I bet you that's what she was asking about.
The Mono Zero eraser. So, all the erasers. And I have everything linked down on the kits page. And if it's from Amazon, I also have it on my influencers page. Some things are just from Dick Blick, so that's why I have two different areas to go to. So staying focused, staying on this pedal.
So you're an influencer.
And that's what they call you.
So if I was driving and we got pulled over and you were in the car, then they would say that I was driving under the influencer?
I guess if I'm sitting in your lap, then you're driving under the influencer.
Oh, good. I'm sure that'll spark a discussion.
Guess why I did it.
Barbara wants to know, how do you like that mono sand eraser?
I don't feel that it's as awesome as I hear other people talk about, but it's useful for me for getting into small areas. It does not get everything up. And that's just being honest. I haven't tried it with the colored pencils, so it may work differently with colored pencils. I got it because everybody talked highly about them, but they're not quite impressive for what I need to use them for. That's probably the best way to say it. Now, for other people, they probably work great, but for how I'm using it, it's just so I can get into small areas.
And P. Langerhart has to go.
Bye, Patricia.
Have fun. See you next time. Thanks, Val and Jason.
Have fun storming the castle. Let's see here.
Yeah, Angel, I saw your comment. The only thing I can do is bring out Bernadette, but I don't think I think that's just punishing Grace.
What did Angel do? Do I want to know?
Nothing. Just something she wrote in chat.
Oh, okay. Is chat gonna have to go away? I haven't been making chat go away unless it's
I don't think it needs to go away.
Okay. I've been keeping it if everybody's been good. But if they're not good, then I can go bye-bye.
Yeah.
Let's see.
No, chat's been pretty PG today.
Okay.
Unless it's any window and you read into it.
Let's see. I get this shaded. Barbara, what do you think of the mono eraser? I'm wondering if maybe you have a similar opinion and that's why you asked. All right. So now, when I have this medium or hot, don't touch your burning right where you burned it. It is still hot. I'm doing this kind of burn so that I can go in with a higher burn and build up the darks where I want them. Because if I don't, then it ends up a little more splotchy. So if I do it with a lower heat setting, though it takes more time, I can heat it up better. See, I gotta blend out these.
Oh, really, Grace? Well, in that case, if that's how you feel, burn it at.
Oh boy. Is it one of those days?
It is one of those days.
Okay. Okay. So I am putting a little bit of pressure on the pen to try to even out the grain a little bit as I burn. Not hard. I don't want to bend my tip. Luckily, Pat does a very good job making strong pens. Let's see here. I got this shadow. Sit down a little bit.
That's what you get, Grace.
Let's turn this a little bit and smooth this out. This petal is coming over this area, so I need to make sure that the shading fits it.
Barbara says she hasn't tried that particular eraser yet.
Oh. I haven't used it for color pencil or graphite, but for what I use it for, it's not my favorite. Hmm. I think it really just depends on how you work. Oh, get back to this petal. Stay here. I wander off because I'm trying to balance things out, or I glance over and see something over here that doesn't look right. So if I go over there and burn it and get it taken care of, I don't forget about it.
So Angel has to go.
Bye, Angel. So soon.
Yeah. Bye, Angel. Podge is thinking you about the tip using the low heat first.
You're welcome, Podge. Yeah, the lower heat just gives me a little bit more control when I go darker. And of course, things backfire, but in general, that's the easiest way for me to get smooth gradients. Mm. Build up the lights and then go darker and darker. Yeah, this and this. So this area, this part of the petal is actually popping out. Okay. See, I'm looking over at the colored picture just so I can see a little bit more detail. But I'm not using it for tone. Let's see, this goes this way. So, we'll do that. There we go. And then this is darker. And there, one of the reasons, and don't think you'll see it from this photo, that I use black and white is, say you've got red in your photo, it will look darker to your eyes if you're looking at the color. But if you just look at the grayscale, you'll find out that the red, depending on the value, isn't as dark as you thought it was. Or opposite with yellow. The yellow may look lighter, but then when you look at the grayscale of it, it's not as light as you thought it was. The same with whites. Mm. So that's one of the really good things about looking at grayscale.
Andrew is asking, do you ever get bits of the eraser stuck in the wood grain?
No, I have not. But if you notice, I tend to go back with the Vanish eraser after I've used one of the other erasers. The Vanish eraser pulls everything from the grain. Ah. I also use it for when I did sanding, because the Vanish eraser will pick up any of the bits, so that there's not any debris left over. Ah. You see, that's not quite that dark. This part is darker. So I used the ball tip on this area first, and that's why I'm having a harder time smoothing it out.
So how sandy? Because Barbara is... Okay. The eraser that's got sand in it?
Oh, it's
like how much sand?
I
don't know. Does it feel coarse to you?
It's like
I've never felt it.
I wouldn't say coarse.
It does feel coarse though to me.
But when you say coarse, I'm thinking like 60 grit sandpaper coarse.
No, it feels more like 400 grit.
No? No, 400 smoother than that.
Okay, so 200. 260.
Yeah. Well,
sold. 260.
Let me see if I can. Okay, this is 220 sandpaper.
Sand's coarser than that.
It's hard because it's two different textures all together, meaning this is an eraser, so it's softer than sandpaper. But no, when you feel the two...
Barbara's asking if it would murder Arch's 140-pound cold press.
And what?
If it would tear up cold press. 140 pound.
Well, I happen to have a piece right here. I'm going to move this because I don't want to indent the board. So this is a scrap piece of 140-pound watercolor. Actually, this is hot press. Oh.
Wow, you can really hear it.
Let's see here. What I'm going to do, since it's hot press, it's supposed to be smoother.
Lisa Swank has to go.
Bye, Lisa. Thank you for coming. Let's see here.
Andrew's asking if it's like the old-fashioned ink rubber.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yep. Alright, so...
Great. She's not a plague. She's her intern.
See if that gives a better idea of the... It's not killing the paper, surprisingly.
Good Lord, Grace.
I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I don't want to know.
You should read that one.
I'll read it later. It'll
Okay.
throw me off.
Throw you off. The seal wants out. I have to go let her out.
Of course she wants out.
I'll be right.
So I would say, actually, probably closer to 320. Just feeling the different sandpapers. Yeah, between 320 and 400. It's not eating the wood when I use it on the wood, but it will pull the burning if I push too hard. And I have to be careful because in sanding the wood, I'm damaging it again and changing the texture, which means when I burn over that area, it's going to burn differently. And he left me, so now I have to look. Look, I'm burning and looking at chat. Look at me, no eyes. Can't do no hands or I'm not burning. Let's see here. But, you know, I'm going to pan it up. There. Then I don't have to keep moving. You are very welcome, Barbara. I don't know how well I showed the eraser, but let's see here. I think I actually went down too far with that line. And this area can go darker. And I only want to hit, because this is two petals, this is two petals coming together and they curve towards each other. So I'm putting the darker shadow along the left side. It helps me to curve it better. But I have to get the tone right. And this whole area is going to have to be darker, which means this area has to be darker, and that area has to be darker. So that's why you see me bouncing around so much. Stick with this petal. Stick with this petal.
The dogs are sunbathing now.
They're sunbathing. And they miss it. And this is another seam, but is actually it's not a seam. This is a ripple or pleat in the petal.
Oh.
So this doesn't go as dark as the seam. Because this iris is pleated. Now I saw Barbara's thank you, but I haven't looked up since that. So I don't know if there's more.
There's not.
Okay. Okay. So I'm just using the tip of the pen and moving quickly so I can kind of keep the heat, the burning even. And need to go with the direction. I was gonna pop up this so they could see.
What's that?
Well, I was talking about how the yellow can look lighter, but then when you look at the gray tone or the gray scale of that yellow, it's not as light as you think it is.
Yeah, we got a really strong stream today. We're only working off a 10-second delay.
Well, that's awesome.
That's crazy.
Don't jinx it. Knock on wood.
Okay.
Is that your head?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds about right. What? What? What'd I do? I didn't do nothing. What?
Sorry.
Alright, so we need to start wrapping it up here pretty soon.
Wrap it up.
Wrap it up. We got any more questions?
No.
Well, I'm putting it out there.
10 seconds and then we'll see.
Oh, I was just putting it out there. Now this petal needs a lot more work, but I am really excited to be trying the treacle boards. I think they're going to burn a lot better than these.
Barbara has to go.
Hey, Barbara. Thanks for stopping by.
Lana is asking if you are going to add color.
I am. This one I am going to do with the Derwent Pro Color.
And which colors are you going to be going with?
I have no clue. Probably, let's see here, the orchids. I might actually do oranges and yellows with this one, and greens. Because the orchids were done with purple, blue, and red.
Luce has to go as well.
Thanks for coming, Luce.
Luce is going to go to sleep.
Ah, I shall be doing that soon myself.
I'm so tired.
Don't yawn. Don't yawn.
Don't.
Don't.
I'm sorry.
Go on. I gotta finish this. And you're gonna make me yawn. Always make me yawn. Let's see here.
Oh, and liquid color has to go too.
Hi, Denise. Bye, Denise. I'm gonna check out her live later on the replay. So yeah, if you feel that, and even if you've got a simple composition, I'm going back to the contrast. If you've got a simple composition, I think blurring out the areas that you don't want to be as pronounced will help you feel like your composition is more interesting. Oh my goodness, you're closer to the mic than I am.
I'm sorry.
Here, I'm gonna.
I made Grace yawn.
Well, don't. So even just one subject, say you're doing a horse head. If you go with softer lines with like the mane that's further away from the camera and wherever you're taking it off the board, it will help strengthen the area of the eyes or whatever you want to be the main subject and make it more interesting. And so that's just a really simple way of popping up your composition without having to add more to it and making it more interesting without having to add more things because you feel like it's missing something. Maybe it's not missing anything more than just needing to have something be more pronounced for the subject. Alright, I'm going to have to go darker. Up to 2.5. Oh, sorry, need a drink. Dry throat. Alright, so...
How much longer are we going? I feel like a little kid.
I know.
When are we getting there? How much further is it? You're going to go to the bathroom. I'm tired. Can we stop?
No.
I'm hungry.
And all of those are true for you right now. I mean, every one that you just said is exactly where you're at right now.
I'm still here because I'm dedicated.
But you're making me yawn and hungry and...
I'm sorry.
Need to go to the bathroom. But that was all you.
Well, we're almost coming up on our normal time.
I know. And that's what I was just trying to push you to. I just wanted to go a little darker because the way this folds, this is actually a lighter area. Looking at the black and white, this is a lighter area. So this is going back behind. So that's actually kind of a trick because normally when something's going... The way the shadow line on this petal right here is what's throwing me off. Because something that dark should be a little further back because of the angle of it. So the sun is hitting down in between these two petals, lightening up this area. That's what it is. And so that's why you really need to pay attention to how the lighting source is hitting your different areas of the subject, because that can change. So, you see this in this area is lighter because the light is coming through the petal, but this part of the petal is bending, so that's why you have more dark on this edge because you have less light hitting it. You're going to drive me nuts.
I'm trying not to.
You're just going to do it.
I don't know what's the matter.
You're just going to do it.
I'm so sorry.
Just fully commit. If you're going to do it, just fully commit and do it.
Okay, well, I don't have to now.
Of course not. Because that's how it works. Just fully commit or stop. One of the two. Love.
Huh.
You forget about the people on replay who have no idea what's going on.
I'm sorry.
You're doing that.
I'm tired. I didn't mean to.
Now you
My apologies for anybody who's watching this on replay. I got tired and I don't know why.
And you have a meeting to go to.
Yeah, I know. I don't get a nap.
I do. You'll take a nap when you get home.
Okay. No,
I have to take my old lady nap. I'm tired right now too, but I'm burning. I'm burning this up. Alright, so this area does need to go darker, but I think we're gonna go ahead and kind of end it here. I will try to work on this. I have the other project for the video that's going up May 10th that needs to get finished. So I gotta work on that. But I will add more to this. I really would like to color this next week because we've already had 3 lives trying to get this thing done.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to go any further if we don't have to. So, do that. So, we don't have any more questions. See, now everybody's got me yawning. Ah.
It's my fault. I take full responsibility.
It's always your fault.
Hey.
Okay. Thank you so. If we don't have any more questions, thank you so much, guys, for stopping by. If you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so that you get notifications every time we go live and I upload a video, which I will be doing more dedicated videos.
I'm sorry, Grace. Apparently, she's yelling makes her cry. Now I'm the bad guy.
Anyway, and please leave a comment down below. Let me know what colors you would do the iris in. And there was another question I asked, but I can't remember what it was. Thank you so much for coming by. Happy burning, guys. Bye.